Check this out. What would you like to do? Would you like to work with a trusted advisor that takes you in a structured, proven process, methodological way from A to Z and buys you the best property? Or would you rather work in a chaotic way, going from A to C to Z, perhaps losing money in the process when you're investing in real estate? Which one would you choose? What are the benefits of each approach? Look, to find out, watch the video to the end. My name is Fahd Dawood. I talk about real estate, Dubai, internationally, your life, my life, and our path to financial bliss, allowing the money to come to us. I'm also the author of The Intelligent Real Estate Investor. I do work one-on-one with people looking to buy and purchase property in Dubai. If you want to work with me, you are welcome to reach out to me. There is a contact form. I do charge a fee for it. If you want, I've got several services that are catered to your specific requirement. You might be looking to just do a real estate strategy session. Perhaps you want an opportunity evaluation. Perhaps you want to help with some negotiation, or you want to work with me from A to Z. I've got another product which caters to people who've lost money with bad developers in Dubai, and I help them get that back. Hit the subscribe button, press the bell icon. Let's get into the structure versus chaos or chaotic approach of buying real estate in Dubai. Okay, so let's just do this in the middle over here, and I'm going to go through a few points, few key points. The chaotic way and then the structured way. Okay, so the structured way over here. Essentially speaking, chaotic way is how most people buy real estate. Okay, they've saved some money. They understand that real estate is a source of generating wealth, or at least deploying their capital to make more money. So in the range of 3% to 7%, in some cases 10%, right? They understand that and they decide, hey, you know what? Green light, let's go. Let's go, okay? Let's go, let's start. Let's start the process. They look at a few videos, they understand a few pricing, they talk to a few people who've invested in real estate, and they're ready to go. Here's the funny thing. I'm not going to talk about the structured approach right now. Just let's talk about the chaotic approach. This is essentially how people go about buying, okay? They decide that they were going to buy. They establish something like, hey, I'm going to spend this much money. This is my budget. And then they go to one of the local MLS listings services or the property portals, and they go and they start calling agents. Boom, boom, boom. Let's go for some viewings. Okay, now what do they tell the agent over here? They tell the agent about 3 to 4 things. They tell them their budget. This is how much I want to spend. And they tell them, I want a studio or a 1-bedroom or whatnot. Okay, and then they start going on viewings. Okay, essentially this is what ends up happening. They start going on viewings, and as they're viewing several different options with several different agents, they start discovering a lot more of their own requirements, right? They start discovering that they don't like buildings which are more than 5 years old. So they tell their agent, look, next time don't show me any buildings which are 5 years old, because they're just too downtrodden, they aren't nice. So they go out for some viewings, they look at 3 or 4 properties, and then they say, next time, no buildings older than 5 years. Okay, good. So the agent's got this. Then they go and see more properties, and then they recognize that the agent's showing them properties with no balconies. Okay? Then they tell them, hey, listen, we absolutely need a balcony. So now this is viewings day number 2 or day number 3. They've just decided, okay, we need balconies because, you know, the rental income's better from balconies. Makes sense, right? Then they start telling the agent, well, this is the view that we prefer whether it's an investment property or a property they choose to live in, the kind of view that needs to have is this. Then they start telling them that we want the service charges to be lower than this. Then they start telling them there's an endless list of what starts happening. And essentially speaking, what happens in this scenario is they go from viewing 1 to viewing 2 to viewing 3 to viewing 4 to viewing 5 to viewing 6 to 7 to 8 to 9, and then they start deciding, okay, you know what, we need to revisit the first apartment that we saw. Maybe we need to go to apartment number 9, maybe we go to apartment number 10, and then they speak to the agent and say, look, we like this one, could you please tell us what the bottom price is? And the agent then goes on to tell him, well, that apartment was never really available for sale. It was supposed to come to the market, but the landlord changed their mind and they're now renting it out. Nothing wrong with the agent, that's perfectly fine. Or something happens over here, they're ready to make an offer and they tell us that the landlord tells them, or the agent tells them, look, this property needs to be sold immediately. We are not going to entertain anybody who's looking for a bank mortgage or bank approval, so on and so forth. Most of the times buyers don't even go in with a pre-approval because they didn't know that they needed a pre-approval. And sometimes while they've gone to the bank to get the pre-approval, the property is sold, okay? I'm gonna just look at a structured approach so that people understand why a structured approach to going into the market and buying a property just makes more sense. Now, I want to ask a question to all the people who watched this video and have reached thus far to the 6-minute mark of the seminar. Would you, as a real estate investor, truly treasure and value a structured approach? Or do you prefer an inefficient, chaotic approach and you just don't mind this as the process? You just see this as a regular general process that's just required to buy a property, and you don't mind dealing with tens of agents, going out there in the market, getting sweaty, looking at property that doesn't match your requirements to begin with. Or would you prefer a structured approach? Just out of curiosity, I personally found that the structured approach for an agent as well as the buyer allows for more peace of mind. This is how a structured approach works, okay? A buyer, whether it's a buyer who's looking to invest in a property or he's looking to stay in that property, an end user, so to speak, this is the language that's used in Dubai, an end user. A buyer or an investor or an end user calls out to an agent, and then the agent says, okay, thank you very much for contacting me, understands a little bit about them, right? And then says, look, we'd love to understand in detail what you're looking to invest in or what you're looking to buy. I appreciate all the information you've shared so far. Perhaps we could meet for an hour, 45 minutes to an hour or an hour and a half to do something we call a real estate strategy session, okay? Now, what we're going to do in this strategy session, and it could run from 60 minutes to 90 minutes, is we're going to ask you and understand all the things that define you as the buyer or an investor and all the needs that you have to make sure that we only show you properties that meet your requirements. What do I mean when I'm speaking about this? Maybe you're looking for a villa to live in, not as an investment, but to live in. Maybe in that villa, 1 bedroom on the lower floor with a full bathroom is critical because you've got old parents visiting you. Maybe having a pet-friendly community is absolutely critical. Maybe you want to live in a villa, but you must be close to the city because you like the mall and you like to dine out all the time. You just don't want to dine in. It's like a thing that you do every week, okay? Maybe the commute from your kid's school is very important for you because your spouse drops them off every day in the morning and picks them up. You just don't like the bus service and you don't want this to be more than 30 minutes, right? 40 minutes is too much already, okay? Maybe you work from home or maybe your commute also matters, okay? Maybe the villa needs to have a lot of privacy for you and for your spouse. Maybe it should be newly built. Maybe the view should be of the sea or the garden, or etc, etc. Now, what we do in that strategy session, essentially speaking, is cover anything and everything that would meet your requirement. It's about understanding the needs of the customer or the buyer so that you can then take them out to show them 4 to 6 properties that meet their requirements. Now, out of the 4 to 6 properties that you, because you've already selected them and you've efficiently filtered them, you know that this 4 to 6 property is going to meet all their needs here. Now, obviously, they're not going to like all the 4 to 6. They'll probably like only 2 or 3 properties. And then you might, based on their search, add one more area or one more kind of property. So essentially, you've whittled it down to 2 or 3 plus 1. And then as you go again into the market, you understand in a very structured way the 1 or the 2 properties they're most leaning to. This is a process, and it can take anywhere between 1 day to 2 weeks, or sometimes more. Could take 2 months. The only thing that's beautiful about this, or the most beautiful thing, is every time you visit a property, you're only going to be visiting a property that meets all their needs, because you, the trusted advisor, are following a structured approach. You call the agents, you book the appointments, and you make sure that you filter out the properties. Now, the critical thing when you get into, let's see if you can read this. I'm going to make this N. I'm not going to talk too much about this situation right now, and then I'm going to talk about this. Negotiating to save money. There, it's chaotic. Over here, again, you follow a very straightforward yet principled approach to negotiating to saving them money. There's 3 pillars to the negotiations in Dubai. Number 1, you must know market price of a property. Knowledge about that. Number 2, you must have knowledge about the seller. There's a very subtle yet succinct way about getting information about the seller, whether it's a developer or whether it's a property in the resale market, and you get that from the agent that's representing the seller, or if you're speaking directly to the seller. And number 3, you must know and be able to use actual templates that have been successful in the past to be able to leverage that knowledge to save money to your buyer, right? This is what a structured approach looks like, and this is what a chaotic approach to buying property looks like, whether in Dubai or anywhere in the world, okay? I'm not an expert at buying cars. I'm not an expert at baking cakes. I'm not an expert if you want to put together a bicycle that you bought off the internet. When it comes to real estate or buying a property, I'm going to say that I am a fairly good expert, and I could buy a property anywhere in the world because I follow a proven process that I have developed that I can implement for myself and any of my buyers. Now, we take luck and chance out of the equation. We hope for the best, and we meet our own criteria 90% of the time to make sure we're making investments that make sense long-term, short-term, and the midterm. If you want to work with me, there is a contact form at the bottom in the description and the comment section. If you've got general comments or general questions that you'd like me to answer on YouTube itself, you can definitely reach out to me. Ciao for now. Hey, hit the subscribe button and press the bell icon. Don't forget doing that. All right, love you. Bye.